Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I've got the Nine of Pentacles as the obstacle, and Five of Swords as the opportunity. So let's jump into it. Got some of the neighboring cards here to maybe help better illustrate the the place that these cards occupy in the cyclical evolutionary growth and journey of um, the self development. What do these cards even describe? Um, the nine, the Nine of Cups, or the Nine of Pentacles. This is like the last step. This is the last step. Both of these cards, by the way, the five and the nine. These are big, transformative cards. Like entering a new chapter, entering a new life almost. And the and where's the five is like this is this is a kind of maturing, kind of like a puberty to adulthood kind of change. This is like the completion of something big. This is a whole new paradigm, because we're getting to the end of the whole suit. We're getting to the end of the theme. The five is, it's a revolution nonetheless, but it's still growing within a particular theme. This is like we're getting close to the end, and this as an obstacle. I see this as like a refusal to engage in that last activity in that final step. Pentacles, um, at this advanced stage of the suit, I think Pentacles refer to more abstract notions of value, of the material in life. So something like one's place in the world, one's social standing, one's uh, yeah, but like where you think you are in the world. It's it's an advanced version of something like the house that you own. Your house is still it's still a very pentacle-y kind of thing, but it's not as abstract. Now, there is a difference between the structure and what the idea of a home is, right? Like you could own a structure and not feel at home there. So again, this would be that kind of higher order of the feeling of material security. Maternal, good Freudian slip there. Yeah, your place in the world. Also, recently I started looking at pentacles as also describing one's the way that you appear, the way you present yourself to the world. So it could represent things like personal beauty and the kind of reputation you think you have physically, right? But but this is the final step of transformation. After this, the 10, we're essentially putting a bow on it, and we're ready to wrap up this stage in the life, and we're ready to go into the suit of wands action, starting to do actual things with this suit representing the kind of base or foundation that we've built up, that ideally is there to allow us to be able to do things. So this card, the nine, um, as an obstacle in this sort of stagnant form where you're not you're not going with the flow of where this is wanting to go. This could be like, maybe you started saving up money because you wanted to start your own company, and it's like, and you're ready to, this is like, okay, we're putting the final step on it. We're wrapping it up. Now it's time to start the company, and this is like, and you're like, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm going to save up a little bit more. you know I'm going to keep I'm just gonna keep building up this. I told myself 10,000 would be enough, but maybe I should make it 20,000. It's like you're resisting going to that next stage where you actually start moving, doing the activity. I was thinking about in like I said, as far as thinking about the personal appearance. Um, it's like I imagine someone who's like, they want to go ask someone out, and but they don't feel like they're ready. They're like, oh, I don't have the right clothes. It's like, oh, I gotta get the right haircut. I gotta get, or like, I don't know, dating profiles. It's like, I would start dating, but I gotta get some good photos. And then you get some good photos, but then you're like, I could get some better photos. Maybe I should take up jogging, and then I'll get some really, my appearance will be better. Um, so it's like stalling in that, you know, not going ahead and actually making those moves in, let's say, your dating life or your social life, because you feel like you got to build stuff up more. Which is not to say that you should not build up anything before you venture out, but this represents that moment where there's more than enough. You're near the end of the cycle, but you're resisting. I think it could also relate to situations where um, people are hanging back before they decide to start a family. Maybe the goal of a couple at some point was, okay, we're going to get together, like, we want to have kids, we want a family, but we're not ready right now. We need a house, we need some good jobs. We got to be in a position where we'll be able to provide. But then, they attain those things. They get a house, they get the work, they get the security, but they can't make that next step to start the family. And wands, it's not just action and movement. It's also like a very creative and sexual suit. So it could symbolize something like going forward with that sexual act, that is going to be meaningful, starting a family. Again, in a situation like that, I could imagine the conversation where, like, yeah, this house is good, but like we should probably find a better house, and like, you know, our financial situation is pretty good. Certainly it's great by the standards we had, years ago, but it would be better if we did whatever. Um, it could be, I remember another analogy I think I've mentioned on here before. I was in a band, and I wanted to get out there and play the shows. I wanted to go on tour. I wanted to, you know, and uh, and the bandmates I was with, they were they really wanted to perfect their sound. They wanted to, like, record it, listen to it. Oh, maybe change a couple. To them, it was like, once, yeah, we want to do a show, but first we really want to get this. We want to get our whole thing figured out. And my attitude was like, we're never going to be perfect, but like, we got to figure it out. Like, let's stop amassing these resources. Like, we have enough. Let's move forward. And yeah, they were not ready to do that. That's when I left the band. But yeah, so this card, the obstacle here is that kind of resistance to taking that next step, which is thematically the last step in this sequence. And yeah, that's scary. That's not you know you're going to be going into a whole new paradigm. So it's the unknown. It's that step into the unknown. And then for the opportunity, another big transformation card, but this is transforming. We're still staying in the same theme of swords. It's maturity. A development of this kind of theme, and yeah, I see this one as swords. Swords, to me, it's information, words in some of the higher levels, culture, traditions, the ideals, things like that. Um, I think this card represents the the undertaking of this step. Same thing, just like the nine. It's represents the activity of the movement, the step on that journey to that next place. And this is I see this as an undertaking of kind of getting our things together socially in terms of how culture, community, tradition, are concerned, getting our words together, getting our thoughts together, maybe developing a good work habit as far as it pertains to studying and learning, things like that. So I definitely see this as like, maybe like a young adult, um, start the world of adults has a certain language. There's a language that adults at large conform to, and that there are cultural and traditional norms that adults or people of a certain level of maturity conform to. And I think this card could symbolize that active step to, let's say, stop using slang, start, start speaking in a way that, evolve the way in which a person speaks, evolve, evolve and grow our understanding of how people do things, how people talk and interact with the information in a society, in a culture. The six, the card after this, it the illustration here is very much something that seems like a more active card than the five. The five seems like a scene depicting a moment after some excitement happened. There was some sort of a duel, and now this guy's picking up the swords that these defeated individuals dropped, perhaps. But I think that the mood of activity and receptivity should be inverted in a way. The six is like coming to that new place of balance and completion on some level, having figured out and attained like a nice foundation of particularly culture. Like, I do think that the six very well symbolizes, to me, it evokes this feeling of people traveling to a new land, people traveling to a new place, crossing a river, making some sort of crossing, change of place, but nonetheless bringing with them the traditions and ideas and words and languages of their people. And that's not something you can do unless you've established those things. If you're still young in the ways of language, and you're experimenting with words and slang, it's you making that journey it's just going to add more new things. If you haven't learned and absorbed the traditions, the cultural meaning of what it is to be you, the family you come from, the people you come from, the community you live in. If you haven't learned what those things are and adapted them, incorporated them into your life, it's impossible to bring those with you anywhere. I think the six symbolizes that kind of, these people culturally, they're bringing their identity with them. The five, I think, represents this act of starting to, it's undertaking a formalization of your identity insofar as it relates to language, culture, information, ideas, things like that. So I think the opportunity here is, that this is the opportunity to take that step to maybe come to some decisions. The step, the five is the undertaking the activity where you're where you're being considerate of these things. You're actively working out what words you're going to use, what things mean in what cultural or informational context. This is present, and it's embracing the activity that's gonna bring you to this place of having some solid identity, solid embracement of what things mean. Um, and things never stay the same. So there's certainly a flip side. Let's say to something like the six. Um, as an obstacle, it's people clinging to outdated traditions, people clinging to a worldview that doesn't apply anymore. Um, but but this card symbolizes, I think, the the willing participation in the kind of changes that lead to the correct incorporation of stability in terms of that cultural identity, the ideas you believe. What is that exciting beeping sound in the background? um, but yeah, so I think the opportunity here is to um, engage actively, enjoyably, hopefully engage in figuring out what ideas you're going to be taking with you, which ideas you're going to leave on the floor, so to speak, which things you're going to pick up, take with you, um, picking and choosing. You can't have them all. That's like I'm guessing like a precursor to the five as far as these characters are concerned is like children children playing with all the toys, and like you can't play with all the toys at once, so you try out different ones, and then this card is like the activity of actually starting to question like, okay, which one's going to be the one that I'm going to stick with, because play is really useful for trying things out, experimenting with them, but it's kind of like the jack of all trades. It's like at some point when you're done playing around, you pick the one thing, and then you start getting, that's the thing that you become good at. That becomes your identity. People play around with, let's say, professions, and yeah, you could be this handy guy, jack of all trades, but you're never going to get that plumber money or that electrician money until you commit to that thing. At which point, the flip side is that, like, if you're a pro electrician, well then you're a terrible plumber, you're a terrible drywaller, you're a terrible whatever, all the other things. You leave all those things behind, but nonetheless, it's like you stand to benefit a lot more by building that foundation in that one particular area. Um, yeah, obstacle, not taking that final step before a big transformation from build up into from like the buildup of security, whether it's financial or social standings, neglecting to move on to the activity that you know that the establishment of that foundation allows you to undertake, and then the opportunity to this requires, maybe the opportunity is courage, maybe the opportunity is, because this is also a daunting task, right? To leave things behind, to choose what you're going to take with you, to choose what's going to define you and what isn't. So yeah, I feel like the opportunity is to have the courage to do it, have the inspiration to do it, have the self-confidence. Maybe the opportunity is to recognize individuals who have taken this step, to benefit from, to be inspired by seeing what they've accomplished by choosing the thing, making that transformation. Yeah, I'm going to wrap up there. Thanks for watching. Drop me a like or a comment if you would like to be entered into the weekly draw for a free, super awesome one-on-one reading. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.